Shalom, shalom. I want to give our honor and glory to Yahweh. Bahashim Yahweh Shah, this bro Aliyah with the servants. Back at it again with another video through the spirit. Right? So this video we're going into, it says, you still straddling the fence, right? You still straddling the fence. Right? You gotta ask yourself, are you still straddling the fence? Right? All these different things that's going on in the world, all these different prophecies that's kicking off, right, in the world, right? Different nations rising against this nation, right? Iran and Israel, right? The US talking about hopping this thing, right? Russia threatening the United States, right? All these things going on, and you still straddling the fence. You still trying to decide if you're gonna be in the truth or not, right? You still in a lukewarm stage, right? You kind of, I'm kind of in this truth, but really I'm not really in this truth. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of, you don't know if you're in or you're out. You know where you're coming or you're going. You know what's going on, right? Are you still straddling the fence in this truth, right? You got to ask yourself that, right? So let's get into some of the things that's kicking off. But first, I'm gonna start off with this precept right here in the book of Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 24. Let me share my screen. Right, the Lord, right, Yahweh Shah, our King, He commanded us to be watching, right? We got to be watching these times, right? And now when we just not just saying you just looking, you paying attention or what's going on, but you also watching in your spirit, right? Examining yourself, right? Striving to be better, repenting, right? Offending less, right? That's the kind of spirit that you got to be in. Not that you watching those things, you see them kind of kicking off, you get excited a little bit, right? You might make a video here and there, but then after that, you still just being a nigga. You still wallowing in your sin, right? You still just being wicked. You're not really trying to change, right? But let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 42. It says, watch, therefore, for ye know not the hour your Lord doth come. And it's telling you, watch and observe the times, right? Observe the times that you're living in. See what is going on, right? And are you going to make a decision to say, hey, I need to step up my game. I need to focus more on this truth. I need to have tunnel vision, right? You need to have tunnel vision, right? Or you're going to continue while you still have chances now to repent. Still have chances to be more on fire. Still have a chances, right, to do better than this truth. Or you're not going to take advantage of the chance that you got and kind of just let them pass you by, right? A lot of people are letting these opportunities, these chances, right, to pass them by, right? Because you don't know when it's going to be your last chance, the last chance you have breath to do anything, right? So now is not the time to be straddling the fence, right? Now, of course, things could slow down, possibly, right? But things is on the loop right now, right? Let's go. We're gonna go. Let's keep reading. It says, "But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what time when he would watch the thief would come, he would have watched." Right? A lot of us, if you really knew, right, the time the Lord was coming, right, you would get right at the last minute, right at the last second, you would get right. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll be prepared, right? But being that we don't know when Yahweh Shah coming, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, being that we don't know that He's coming, when He's coming, we know He's coming, but we don't know exactly the very time. That means we need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. Now, how do you prepare yourself? By building yourself up in the spirit, right? Being diligent, walking, being integrity, having integrity, not being a hypocrite, right? Helping build the ministry, right? Repenting, offending less. These are things to help prepare you, right? It says, it would not have suffered his house to be broken up, right? And a lot of brothers and sisters, if they don't get themselves prepared, their house is going to get broken up, right? The scriptures tell you that 2/3 of Israel is going to be destroyed, right? So right now, it's not the time to be playing games, right? Especially for you men and women that know what's going on in this thing. Imagine you know what's going on, and you still not perfecting yourself, right? You're still not striving to be more diligent, be more fire. You just content. You still cool where you at. You good where you at. You comfortable where you at in the spirit, right? It's crazy. And you see these things going on, right? It's just a matter of time, right? We also know that amongst these things, when you see the nations rise against nations, the kingdom against kingdoms, don't forget, you still got persecution of the saints, right? The different famines and that got to play out, right? And you sitting here just wasting time, twiddling your thumbs. You're doing nothing, right? Straddling the fence, right? So let's go. I want to bring that out, but I want to kind of also touch on a few things that is going on for those that this might be your first time watching this, right? This much about me your first. You're not even aware of the different things that's going on. For those people that's not aware, right, we're gonna kind of get into those things, right? And for those that are not familiar with second Esdras, right? Chapter 9. I'll get that as well. Right? We're gonna get second Esdras chapter 9. Let me get let me go this. Okay, there we go. For those that's not familiar with second Esdras chapter 9, I will get that right on screen so y'all can see. Okay, second Esdras 9:1, right? So it says this. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. So the Lord's telling you to, when it says measure, just telling you to observe the times, right? Diligently observe the times and the different signs, right? And the Lord is showing us signs that we're living in the end times, the latter times, the last days, right? We're seeing the signs. Now, if you're not familiar with the signs, we're just going to run through real quick. So just a couple signs, right? But it says, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest, Yahweh Shai, will begin to visit the world which he made, right? Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? So not only that, but when you read Matthew chapter 24, which you were just in Matthew 24, when you read starting at verse 6, right, and you read on down, because the disciples, right, in Matthew chapter 24, they inquired to the Lord, who the world even called Jesus Christ. They inquired to him about the end times, and he ended up telling them like, okay, this gonna be going on, that's gonna be going on, right? And the things that that's going on that the scripture says, we are aligning with those things, right? The nation against nation, the kingdom against kingdom. We're lining up with those different things playing out, right? So now we're gonna go, right? And when you observe the times, you go through the Bible, right? You go through the Bible, you see the different prophecies that Lord say will come, right? And the prophecy is basically a future event, right? So the Lord tells you about different events or future events that's going to happen or play out, right? Through the scriptures. And then we go and we see what's going on in real time, right? And compare them to the scriptures, right? And see how they line up or they match up, right? So, right, let's go here, right? So I'm gonna start off right here because I'm gonna share my screen first. So one of the sources that we have to go to, there are many sources that you can look into, news sources. Inline headlines is a good source, but you also have RT News. What's another one? It's another one a brother had sent me. Azerbaijan, they have a news outlet as well. So different countries, a lot of different countries, they put more information or put more things out there than America. Like your Fox News and CNN, there was a lot of censored news, right? Censored news outlets that basically don't give all the information, and they most likely have propaganda behind it, right? But these different news outlets I'm telling you about, right? They don't have that much propaganda. They have this, hey, this was going on, right? So one of the news outlets that we're using right here, right? Today is in end time headlines. We're going to here, and this is for educational purposes. Fair use. So let's go here, right? It says now if you haven't been paying attention, right? Israel, right, and Iran have been going at it, right? So it says Iranian missiles strike Beersheba hospital in Israel. All right, so that's what we got. Let's go. All right, you see that? All right, this is you see the flags. Boom, 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 boom. This is Israel, right? So it says a barrage of approximately 30 Iranian ballistic missiles struck Israel, with one directly hitting the Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, the main hospital serving Israel's southern region. The attack, which occurred early Thursday morning, caused extensive damage to the hospital infrastructure, particularly its older surgical ward, right, which had been evacuated in recent days due to heightened tensions. The strike is part of an escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, now in its 7th day following Israeli airstrikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites, right? So now when it comes to these two nations, right, they are split between let's look at this. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull up something to show y'all, to give y'all kind of roughly what I'm talking about. They're split as in between the nations, right? Iran has its allies, right? And Israel, they got their allies, right? So, right. Let's well, we gonna look up this first. We're gonna look up this. Hold on, let me go to this. All right. So and I'm gonna go to I wanna go to Google because this right, so let's look at this right here. This is Generation 95. It says who are Israel's top 10 allies, right? So let's go to it. So excuse me, got pop-ups. Right. So going from top 10, right? You got Egypt, right? Egypt is involved with Israel, Canada, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, United Kingdom, right? Germany, right? Singapore, Brazil, right? India, and at number 1 is the United States, right? So you have all these different nations, right? Right, and the United States being one that's a part of NATO, right? So you got all these different states, right? I mean, not states, but countries that's a part of this thing. They're allies with Israel, right? So let's go and we're gonna look at the allies of Iran, right? And all this is getting to a point. So it's a reason why, you know what I'm saying, I'm telling brothers and sisters to pay attention to what's going on, right? It's all coming to a point. I hate being searched, man. Dang, I hate that song, man. All right. So it says, it's the Britannica. Let me see what they got. All right. So this is Britannica. It says this. Iran's key allies include Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthi movement in Yemen, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the Gaza Strip, and some militias in Iraq, including the Popular Mobilization Forces, PMF, also called, I don't know how to pronounce that, but keep moving. It says collectively, Iran and this set of allies are called the Axis of Resistance, and it formerly included the regime of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Iran also maintains a strategic relationship with Russia and has pursued closer relations with China. So these are the these are the allies of Iran. Right now, if you're not aware, our Russia and also all right, here we go. All right, check this out. It says right. It says this. It says, as Israel continues its attacks on Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump and other global leaders are hardening their stance against the Islamic Republic. While considering the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear sites, Trump has threatened Iran's supreme leader, claiming to know his location and calling him an easy target. And he has demanded unconditional surrender from Iran, right? So the U.S. kind of hopped in this thing, right? Kind of hopped in this thing. That says a lot, though, right? It says a lot, right? It says, meanwhile, countries such as Germany, Canada, the UK, and Australia have toughened their rhetoric, demanding Iran fully abandon its nuclear program. So as the pressure mounts on Iran, has it been left to fight alone, right? Or does it have allies that could come to its aid? Right, let's keep reading. Right, so it says this. It says, Iran has long relied on a network of allied paramilitary groups across the Middle East as part of its deterrent strategy. This approach has largely shielded it from direct military strikes by the US or Israel, despite constant threats and pressure. Right? But this is it's basically going into what we was talking about, but I want to kind of touch on Russia's play into this, right? And let me see. Let's see if I can find it. Right here it is. Right here, I had to jump down because I didn't want to read this whole account, like this whole article. But if you want to read this article, feel free. It's on Bing. It's on MSN.com. And you feel free to read it yourself, right? But I just want to get to a point. It says Iran's key global allies, Russia and China, have also condemned Israel's strikes. They have previously shielded Tehran from punitive resolutions, right? At the UN Security Council, right? However, neither power appears willing, at least for now, to escalate the confrontation, right? So they kind of talking about this. Now let's go to RT News. That's another one. Things I like getting into RT News. They be having some good stuff on it too. All right. So let's see what they got. Cause I just want to kind of see. That's what I want right here. Top stories right here. This is why I like this. I like this. This particular Shalom. That's why I like this particular news site. So I'm gonna share my screen and show you what RT News is saying. Right now, this is top stories. Right, Putin and Xi, right, discuss Middle East crisis. So Russia and China, Slakia, is getting together and they're discussing the different things that's going on. Right, it says the Russian president has affirmed Moscow's willingness to mediate between Israel and Iran, according to the Kremlin, right? So it says Russian President Vladimir Putin has told his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping that Moscow is ready to help mediate between Iran and Israel. That's why I like to go to different news outlets, you know what I'm saying? Because one was kind of saying, well, they're not really talking about, they're not really putting no pressure. But here, under RT News, they're telling, hey, Russia's saying they ready, right? They're ready to help mediate. So it says, Iran and Israel, the Kremlin said after their phone call on Thursday, which focused on the worsening conflict in the Middle East. The conversation, which lasted about an hour, was described as friendly and constructive by Putin's foreign policy aide, Yuri Ushakov. Right? Moscow and Beijing share identical approaches to the crisis, Ushakov told reporters, adding that both leaders strongly condemn Israel's actions, which violate the UN Charter and other norms of international law. Right? Let's keep reading. Says Putin briefed Xi in his recent phone conversations with Iranian President Masoud Masoud P, man. You're gonna call him Masoud P, right? And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held in the aftermath of Israel's strike on Iran last week. The Russian leader reaffirmed Moscow's readiness to carry out possible mediation efforts if necessary, right? So it said if it comes down to it, they're going to carry out possible mediation efforts, right? Let's keep reading. It says, Ushakov said, adding that Xi welcomed the initiative, calling it a step that could help defuse the conflict. Both Moscow and Beijing fundamentally believe there is no military solution to the current situation or to issues related to Iran's nuclear program. This must be resolved exclusively through political and diplomatic means, the presidential aide stressed. Right? So they're kind of getting into this thing, right? They're trying to delegate. They're trying to get things to cease, right? To have peace. That's what they're trying to do. So they're basically trying to calm things down, right? But what Trump is trying to do, right? Trump is trying to actually take down their nuclear program, right? So we just have to wait and see. But the point is, right? Right, let's keep reading. It says the two leaders agreed. Let me jump down. It says the two leaders agreed to instruct their respective ministries and agents to stay in close contact and exchange information in the coming days, he added. Israel launched a major attack on Iran last Friday, targeting nuclear facilities and military sites and airstrikes. Tehran responded with its own attacks on the Jewish state. The escalating conflict has since left at least 639 people unalive in Iran and 24 in Israel, according to the Washington-based human rights activist group and Israeli officials. Russia condemned Israel's initial airstrikes and called for de-escalation. Putin also spoke with the U.S. President Donald Trump by phone over the weekend, with the two discussing the possibility of reviving negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. And see, this is where you have the split, right? You have one nation that's saying, "Hey, we want the Iran's nuclear programs to be put to an end," right? Then you got the U.S. They kind of siding with Russia about negotiating about their nuclear program, right? So it's kind of it's very political, and it's very it's a lot going on. Right? It says Trump reportedly has not ruled out direct military intervention in the conflict, according to CBS. He has approved a potential plan to attack Iran, though no final decision has been made. So he kind of want to take military action, right? And they're trying to go a different route. So the point of me bringing out all these things is this, right? You got a lot going on in the world right now, right? And this formula of tick for tat, and this nation talking about this nation feeling this way about this nation, it's all a recipe for World War III, right? It's the perfect recipe for World War III, right? All it takes is for the Most High to continue to speed things up, right? Then you got World War III, right? And you got all these things going on in the world, and yet you got brothers and sisters that's not taking time to examine themselves and get themselves better in the spirit, because it's already set. The fate is set for the world. It's only going to climb, right? And when you think about the coming in of the rulership of the Israelites, right? When Yahweh shall come, right? When he comes, when you think about these different things, right? In order for when Yahweh shall comes, he's going to destroy these places, right? These places this place is finished. So as you see these places decline, you see war kicking off, you see all these different things going on in the world, it's even more of a sign to get yourself together, right? Even more of an eye-opener to change the way that you're living, to truly cause for repentance, right? To truly offend less. Because it tells you in the scripture you want to offend less in this thing, right? You don't want to sit there the whole time you've been in the truth, right? Your list of wrongdoings is the same. It's the same amount. You not once try to shrink it down a little bit. You was here. Think about that. 5 years ago, you was here with all the sins and going off you was doing, and you still right here, right? You haven't tried to increase. You haven't tried to better yourself in this truth, right? Those who got people that want to better themselves in the world, which is, hey, get your money to do that. But you got to have a just balance. Don't just put all your energy and better yourself in the world, but you're not taking the time to better yourself with the Most High, right? You got to have a just balance. You got to be able to do both, right? Because at the end of the day, right, you're gonna get judged by the work that you put in on this earth and this body, right? And if those works were not good, if those works weren't sincere, if you was a hypocrite, and you're gonna get a bad judgment, right? So this is this came out yesterday, right? June 18th. It says Russia warns Trump against bombing Iran, and Ayatollah vows to never surrender. Right? Let's get this article. And I'm going to read a lot on this because I read a lot on that last article, but I just kind of want to get y'all information to see that there are different nations that's involved in this thing. It's not just Israel and Iran at this point. You got Israel, Iran, United States, you got Russia, you got China. It's a lot of people involved in this thing. And with that being said, all these different nations involved in it, that gives you the recipe for World War III, right? And before I read this article, I do want to bring out this precept, right, to show y'all what I'm really talking about when I say this, right? Now, this is a classic chapter in precepts going into the end times, right? Going into the last days, right? Let me see what they have on the NLT first before I say this. All right, so it says this is Matthew 24:3, and this is in the NLT. Later, Yahweh Shah said on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will all this happen? What sign will signal your return in the end of the world?" Right? So the disciples right here, and this is a class precept going into the disciples, they was asking him, what is going to be the signal? What is going to be the signs of the end of the world and the end of the world that we know it now? Right? Because when you read 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, it says Esau is the end of the world, for Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So it's just the end of the world that we know it now, right? And then after the end of the world, the end of this world as we know it now will be the beginning and the rulership, right? And the kingdom of the Israelites, right? So anyways, so the disciples they're requiring, so that if this is your first time really reading these precepts, you may have never ran across these precepts. You may have never heard them, right? This is for you, right? Let's go back, and I like to all right, so it says this. It says this. I'm reading verse 20. I'm reading verse 7. It says, nation shall go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. Right? So it's telling you that nation will go to war against nation. So when you hear about all these different nations getting involved with this Iran and Israel conflict, that's a perfect recipe for World War III. And if this thing kicks off like it could possibly very well do, that will be this prophecy fulfilling itself. And that's an even more signal or sign that we're living in the last days. Right? Now, as I spoke of before, there's other things that got to play out, right? But this is one of the major signs, right? So, kind of want to bring that out, right? Let's go back here. It says Russian. So like, let me see. Let me just look at it first. I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can see what it's talking about right here. All right, let's go. Let's read this. This is kind of interesting right here. It says Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergey R. I'm calling Sergey R. stated on Wednesday that direct military assistance from the United States to Israel could significantly destabilize the situation in the Middle East. Right? It says R emphasized that Russia advises the United States against providing such support to Israel, particularly as the ministry has warned that Israeli strikes on nuclear facilities have brought the region perilously close to catastrophe. You see that? It says perilously close, dangerously close. That's what that word perilously means. Dangerously close to catastrophe. Right? And that catastrophe is that all-out war, World War III. Right? These comments were made in conjunction with a stark warning issued by Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, who cautioned that any United States military intervention would likely result in irreparable harm. It says irreparable harm. That means you can't repair this. Ain't no going back from this. Right? We all in. That's what that means. When something is irreparable, that means you just can't fix it. It's broken. Kind of like a relationship. And and y'all like, ain't no fixing this relationship. We done. That's the same thing they talking about. Ain't no fixing this harm. If they intervene, it's it. Now, they very well could not intervene. It's possible. Right? But if they intervene, it's only going to get worse. Things only going to kick off more and more and more. Now, that's just a kick of things, right? Because we still got all these different things going on with ICE, right? These different cities, protests, right? All these different things going on, right? So don't forget that. Keep that in mind, right? It says, in his first televised remarks, I think that it says in his first televised remarks in Israel's unexpected assault on Friday, Khamenei proclaimed, "This nation will not surrender to anyone in the face of imposition. So he's like, man, we not surrendering. Ain't no surrender. Right? This warning coincided with indications from U.S. officials that Iran has approximately 24 to 48 hours to capitulate and avert American intervention, as President Trump contemplates involvement in Israel's conflict. So this is a very interesting war, right? Shalom. So it's a very interesting war. But the thing is, again, we seeing these things going on, right? But what are you doing? Right? You see all these things going on. You see the different ICE raids, right? Northern Kingdom getting bammed up, right? We see these things going on, right? But what are you doing right now spiritually for your spirit man, for your spirit woman? Are you sitting back and idly by as these things go down, right? Or you see it, you get excited, you kind of clap your hands, but you're still not changing. You're still not repenting. You're still not trying to read. You're still not trying to be. You're trying to do nothing, man. Not trying to pray. You just in this. You just know the truth. That's basically what it is. You just know of the truth. You know you're Israelite. You know you gotta wear the fringes. But that's it. That's where you stop at. You're not portraying the fruits of the spirit, right? You're not trying to help build a ministry. You just know something. What good is it that you know something and you're not really acting on it? Think about that. You know, a lot of us, a lot of our people have a lot of knowledge about this truth, man. Right? But that knowledge just sitting there in their head. It's just sitting there in their head. It's just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to really increase the talent. They're not trying to use their talents. Right? The brother Eli, he was Judge Eli, he was talking about that this Saturday. This Shabbat, the previous Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? About using your talents, man. The Lord has blessed you with talents. Are you using your talents? Or you just kind of sitting there and just letting them just... I know some stuff about the truth, but what good if you know it if you're not sharing it? You're not helping build this ministry up. You're not trying to put your brick in, right? Or what good is it knowing that you got to repent, knowing about the Sabbath day, if you're not really keeping it? When it comes to the Sabbath day, you're kind of like, oh. I've ran across some people, right? They be like, yeah, man, you know, I know that truth. I know about the truth. I know about the truth. I like, you do, huh? Yeah, I know about that. You know what I'm saying? I know we Israelites. And one of the first things I like to get up, where your fringes at? This is one of the basic commandments. Where your fringes at, though? And these people that been saying they've been doing this for years. You know, you got to ask yourself. Because when you think about it, it's nothing wrong with knowing all the deepest and darkest parables in this truth. But if you're not being obedient and keeping the commandments, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Right? Let me get this precept. Sirach 19 and 24. Right? Sirach 19 and 24. That's one of the go-tos right there. All right, let's get this. Not Sirach 19, verse 24, and it reads, it says, he that have small understanding and fear of God is better than one that have much wisdom and transgress the law of the Most High. So as you see these things kick off, right? Now it's time to really be focusing on fearing the Lord, right? Honing in on that fear of the Lord, right? We've seen the different perilous things that's going on, right? We seeing how this country slowly is falling apart. We seeing it. Now it's time to hone in, focus, tunnel vision, right? Increasing your fear of the Lord, right? Offend less. Let me get that too. Right? Because we're seeing this, it's definitely falling apart. But there's going to be a time where you ain't going to have that opportunity. Right? You ain't gonna always have the opportunity to see, all right, now it's time for me. Now I feel like putting in my brick in. Now I feel like doing some work. You know, we all gonna have that time to go ahead and put that last minute work in, right? You don't want to wait till it's too late. You want to wait. Right? This Sirach 17:25. Right? It says, return unto the Lord and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayer before his face and offend less. So we want to make sure that we're offending less in this thing, in this walk. Because things only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Y'all not going to stop these prophecies from kicking off. You ain't going to stop nothing. Right? So it's either you're going to sit there and be idle, or you're going to continue to wax worse than it's true. Because you don't really care. It don't really mean nothing to you. Because if it did, you'll try to do better. Because you know better. Right? Let me get that precept. Well, I'm going to get this precept. I'm going to get this precept. And I'm going to get another precept. And I'm going to get the Habakkuk chapter 2. Right? Because you got to understand these prophecies going to happen. America's going to fall. Right? It's going to happen. Right? The pestilence is coming. Persecution of the saints is coming. Famine is coming. All these different things is coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing that you can do about it is prepare, and Lord willing, the Most High have mercy on you. But he's not going to have mercy on a Negro that's not really trying. He's not really putting his best foot forward. You just kind of, whatever, man. It is what it is, man. You know, I'm just here. That's how a lot of people is in the spirit. It is what it is, man. So, at least I know I'm Israelite. At least I got my friends on. That's not the spirit. No. It said the righteous shall scarcely be saved. I'm gonna get that next. But it says, it's this Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Man, these prophecies it's gonna continue to happen, bro. Everything that the men of the Lord been telling people about years and years ago, that this place is soon to fall, man. Right? Everything has a process, right? We're seeing the process. Now, I'm not saying now tomorrow is gonna be it. I'm not saying that. We're never going to give you a time. Because Lord tell you that no man knows at their time. We're not going to tell you to a time, but we're telling you, get your ish together, get yourself together, get your spirit man together, right? Because very soon it's going down. Even in the time of Esdras, right? In the time of Esdras, over 1,000 years ago, it said, get your house in order. How more so in 2025, right? When it tells that it's a few seconds left on the doomsday clock. How more so now? Get your house together, man. Right? Let me get this precept. And then I'm gonna bring it out. And then I'm gonna bring out the time that Esdras was on the earth. Right? This 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 18. It says, and if the righteous, let's start here at verse 17. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. Right? So what this means is he gonna start with the Israelites first, his people. He gonna start with Israel first. Right? That's what judgment gonna start at. That's why you got Jacob's trouble. Right? It says this. It says, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? So what's gonna happen to them that don't obey? Right? What's gonna happen to them that's lukewarm? What's gonna happen to those people that's still straddling the fence? Right? And it says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved. You know when something scarcely be saved? I mean, you barely made it. You barely made it by the skin of your teeth. Where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? So the right said the righteous is going to be scarce to be saved. Don't sit there just because you keep the Sabbath day, you got your friend zone, and you know a couple precepts, think that you got the kingdom. That don't mean that you got the kingdom. It said the righteous shall scarcely be saved. So you don't even know, we don't know we're going to make it. We hoping with the Lord have mercy on us, right? So don't sit there and just be content. Why I need to increase? Even the apostles prayed that their brothers increase. You should want to increase in this thing, right? You should want to get better. When you think about it, when you first get in this truth, right? You start over as a babe. You start off as a babe in this thing. And if you don't increase in this thing, you still at a baby level, man. You should want to grow in this thing. Grow in this truth. Grow. Start growing before it's too late. Right? So yeah, man. So you wanna get together in these times, man. Right? And then let's go there. Then we gonna go to this. Second Esdras chapter 14, right? But first, before we go there, I'm gonna Google this. I'm gonna go to Google because I don't like this channel right here. I'm too much. I'm not a big fan of Bing, but it's just on my laptop. That's why I be on that joint. But I'm gonna just go to Google real quick. Right. So let's see. What time? Let me show this. What time was the prophet Ezra? Because Esdras is Ezra. If you didn't know, right? Esdras and Ezra are the same people, right? Ezra on earth or something like that. On earth, alive. I'll just say alive. Okay. All right. So it says the prophet Ezra lived during the 5th century BCE, specifically during the post-Exilic period in Jewish history. He is known for his role in the leading return of Jewish exiles from Babylon to Jerusalem, right? So let's keep in mind now, this is 5th century BCE, right? That's over 2,000 years ago. It's because now it's the year 2025, right? They started back over when Christ came. That's why you have the AD. So that's over 2,000 years ago. Let's see what was said in Esdras, right? In the time of Esdras, over 2,000 years ago. Let's see, right? Keep that in mind now. He was running time the fifth 5 BC, right? Let's go to Esdras chapter 14. Right? It says this right here. Esdras chapter 14 and verse 13. It says, now, this over 2,000 years ago. Now, therefore, set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Comfort such as them be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. So it says, now back then, now set thy house in order. Now is the time to set your household in order. You men that's married, if you're not married, set your household in order, right? Because initially, this is your house. Set your household in order, right? Women, set your household in order. Get this together. Get your spirit together, your spirit man together, right? Your spirit woman together. It says, let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. Now it's the time to be putting off that weak nature. That weak nature is the flesh. Now it's the time to put it off. Ain't no time to be playing. And that's to myself. To myself, man. Says set thine household in order, man. Set thine house in order, right? And put off that weak nature. Right? That was over 2,000 years ago. How more so in 2025, man? We mid-2025. And we see all the different things going on in the world. Right? So yeah, man. Shalom, shalom. All the people tuning in. But man, that's what I was gonna lead off with though, that precept, man. Set your household in order, man. Get yourself together in these times, man. But I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Lord, wouldn't that was edifying through the Spirit. And I say shalom, shalom, shalom. Kwame Shalom.